Welcome to a special series of our conversations on African philanthropy with me, Bhekinkosi Moyo, the Director of the Center on African Philanthropy and Social Investment. We are shooting this special episode at the margins of the East Africa Philanthropy Network Conference in Zanzibar. For the next couple of episodes, you will be hearing from participants sharing on systems change and other forms of philanthropy. Enjoy the series.
CAPSI Podcast Series, Conversations on African Philanthropy.
Welcome to yet another episode on the Conversations on African Philanthropy with me, Bhekinkosi Moyo. We are shooting this episode at the margins of the East Africa Philanthropy Network conference here in Zanzibar. I'm joined by an activist, Rachael Mwikali, from the Coalition for Grassroots Human Rights Defenders. Rachael, welcome.
Thank you, Comrade Becky. I've been looking forward to be part of this podcast.
Why?
One, I appreciate documentation of Pan-African knowledge and documentation, because I feel most of the time our stories are never put in documentation, which erase the work we do. And more specifically, I've been following on how you've been documenting Pan-African activists and feminists that have come before us or who are still in the space, and inspires a lot. And for me, it acts as a point of also learning from them.
Yeah.
So I don't need to go to South Africa or to Ghana. Yeah. At least I'm able to listen and share also with my community the knowledge that you produce as CAPS.
Yeah, so I must say that when we met on the plane coming here, you gave me two booklets that I immediately delved into. Beautiful, beautiful stories of women who are doing amazing work at the grassroots level. So we are not talking about super elite women, super resourced women. We're talking about women that are using whatever they have to actually address different issues that affect communities, especially in informal settlements, etc., etc. Do you want to talk a bit about the two booklets, that one around COVID, but the other around sexual reproductive health rights?
Yeah. So for me, the reason why we chose to do those two particular books, the one is on the COVID response, and a lot of feminists and activists who are grassroots women were responding, is because during COVID, a lot of us were doing like most of the work, and you could hear from the conversation we have had in the hall, like a lot of time we'll be asking people to support us, but they are not supporting us. But during this particular context of COVID, which was very tough, but for us it worked as the other way around, where we were able to respond to communities. We didn't know how to do the humanitarian work in a large scale, and living in an informal settlement that also there's a lot of inequality.
Yeah.
And at the same time, when COVID struck, we were told social distance. For us, our lived reality, our houses are 10 by 10, so to social distance is a bit hard. And then we're told to wash our hands, but for us, the lived reality is that we don't have water.
Yeah.
So one of the things, as the women in that book, people are able to become innovative and find ways on how to support our communities. So that's when we started reaching out to our friends in different informal settlements that we are based, and then coming with different creative ways on what we can do to support community. And you could see from the story, some decided to do soap making to support community. Some decided to make like the jerry cans for washing hands. Some decided to fundraise also to get foods as an humanitarian support to the community. Some also ended up looking for menstrual hygiene product to support the girls, because reality, as much as there's COVID, the menstrual does not stop. It continues. And then others also responding to gender-based violence. And for us, documenting these stories, because in COVID response, it lacked feminist and gendered lens of grassroots women who are responding. And for us, we choose this as a way of changing the narrative and also documenting our stories. Because people will document their story, but us, our story will not be read if you don't document. So that's why we took the initiative ourselves to write it the way we want our story to be heard. And as you can see, those stories were not written by people in big organizations or in big institutions. It's us ourselves that we're able to write and edit ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was very important in such a way it got a lot of attention, and communities were able to own it, so that they started also using it as books club to be able to amplify the heroes, the women who are doing work, but silently they're never heard. So after that is when we realized has become big, so we need to do one also for sexual reproductive health and rights. Why did we choose the topic sexual reproductive health and rights? It's because within the human rights space that we exist, it's usually seen like in terms of also movements building. We can talk about, and I like what Comrade Brian talked.
Yeah.
People will be like, we want to talk about, I don't want to say soft issue, but not controversial.
Yeah.
But for us saying we want to talk about sexual reproductive health and rights, because we realize even from where we come from, a lot of injustice around sexual reproductive health and rights. We've been losing our girls because of unsafe abortion. But if you look, it's also criminalized of poverty.
Yeah.
Because the wealthy women will go to, let's say, Aga Khan Hospital or Nairobi Hospital, even when they've been abused, or when also it happens that someone has been raped, they can get those services. Yeah? But for women in Mathare or informal settlements in Kenya, these are different realities. Lacking of this public service that is not illegal, but is restricted and should not be restricted. And also like having not information, access to information on contraceptive and family planning, we realize it's a big issue. And that's why we say the activists that are working in this sector, we need to amplify this work that is never seen, but affecting a lot of young people.
Yeah.
And the young people, we mean both young men and young people. And at the same time, having the lens of also gender non-conforming people, which is inclusive of LGBTQ, because currently with the state we are in Kenya, it's a government that is anti-choice and anti-gender because of the religious, evangelical, patriarchal fundamentalists. So that's why we said it's important to document, at the same time share knowledge and lived experience of the tools that have been working from our own community lens. Because most of the time we realize that knowledge is usually taken away from us and never shared as part of producers. So for us, we said it's important not only just for keeping it as a knowledge, but also for advocacy.
Yeah.
When we give people, they're able to know it's not only just Rachael, but there are many Rachael who are doing this fantastic work in informal settlement and in Kenya. But at the same time, shifting the conversation around human rights, that also rights to health, which is sexual reproductive health and rights, is also a human rights issue. And that we need to push also health to be a public good, but at the same time advocate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the things that really struck me reading those stories was the fact that the majority of the people there decided to establish their own initiatives with the little means that they have to respond to those challenges that you have raised. One of the sad stories in one of the books is about this lady who during COVID had to be disowned by her father simply because she was pushing on issues that were seen not to be acceptable by the chief and by the father. I just found that to be really outstanding, that that would even get to that level. But two things. The one is people are coming up with their own initiatives, setting up foundations or organizations, but with very little resources.
Yes.
And I've met some of them here in this conference, which raises the question whether or not their interventions are going to be sustainable over time. But they are very much welcome because I think everyone is showing that we need to do something about it.
Yeah.
And then the second one was the extent to which the communities are not welcoming some of these issues that might be seen as controversial. That's what I really got out of the booklet. Is that the sense that, as the Coalition for Grassroots Human Rights Defenders, is that the sense that you are getting as well? Yeah,
like what you're saying, not only just as an institution, but also as individual.
Yeah.
And the reason of also why we shifted in saying let's document is because even personally I've experienced that, and I still experience where you're doing work for the benefit of the community, sacrificing, where you're not funded. Even when I was coming in and sharing with some of the people, they're like, but Rachael, you would think you're funded. I'm like, Becky, I've been in activism and feminism spaces more than 10 years.
Yeah.
But I would say now, after more than 10 years, when I can say at least I've gotten a funding for, let's say, $100,000.
Yeah.
And then now people who have seen the the work that you've been doing,
Yeah.
which is not about me, it's about we.
Yeah.
Trying to show interest. But you see, this is only Rachael. There are many who are doing the same thing. But also, I would say it's also thankful to the community
Yeah.
for holding me.
Yeah.
Because if it was not community, that resource would have not been like Rachael even coming to this conference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you realize that's the challenge even me personally have faced in many of these grassroots community-led radical initiative, where we do the work, but we don't have support system that support the work we have.
Yeah.
It's the reality, Becky. Most of us have not gone to school.
Yeah.
But for us, where we believe in is not about writing reports in documents, writing reports in people's hearts.
Yeah.
Where you have done good and good has happened. We don't do it because it's an 8 to 5 job. It's because also majority of us have experienced that injustice direct and indirectly.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's directly because you're experiencing that social injustice. At the same time, people around you are experiencing the same.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you look the way community are socialized and the issues that you are raising, and I know particularly is around even, let's say, access to abortion and access to even fight on gender equality. Because sometimes you fight the people also you fight for, and because of patriarchy, sometimes because of system not working, they get compromised, and then the case comes into you, which leaves you as a leader in a very hard situation, in a very lonely situation, because you're fighting, but you're not seeing results. You're fighting, but at the same time, you're getting backlash. You're fighting, nobody is there to hold your hand and tell you, this is where you can access resource. But you're fighting also hoping for a better future, and not hoping just someone will see, but hoping things will change. Because also you want to have also your own life, but at the same time, you want all of us to have a life that is able to be supportive to each other. And what you said, even as coalition, this year we got a tough backlash. After the ruling on the Legal Act and LGBTQ organization that was given the rights to association. And then there was a lot of misinformation and disinformation from our government officials, both on the current government and the opposition. When they started giving narrative that was wrong and saying that Kenya has legalized people to continue recruiting kids to be gay and to be lesbian, which was a very wrong narrative. The ruling was about to right of association, people to be respected for who they are. That's when also we got criminalized, that us as coalition, because we ran our own also radical movement that is very organic called Pussy Power. We are recruiting kids to be homosexuals. And we really had it rough, because some of also my photos were trending, being shown around, that I'm leading and coalition is doing this work of recruiting kids, which is not the reality. But yes, we defend the rights of LGBTQ. We defend the rights of everybody, no matter where you come from. Because also we live in a community where we understand what discrimination means, what criminalize means. That's why we stand for human rights for all. But we thank our comrades who were able, and different organizations, to come together to stand with us, to be able to say, yes, you're being criminal, but what does it mean? It means we are doing resistance work that is giving input. So
when I met you last year in Johannesburg at the Baraza Social Movements Gathering, I want us to talk about maybe two things. The one is we met a comrade there, Thulani Maseko, and sometime this year he was murdered in Swaziland, and you were one of the people that organized a memorial in Nairobi. So your work is not just local, even though it's grassroots, but your work also cuts across, the regions, especially where human rights issues are concerned. I know you also had a bit of some backlash from the Eswatini government for that. I mean, when such things happen, and you are an activist yourself, what are the emotions that you go through? I mean, obviously, condolences to the family of Thulani, and in almost every opportunity that we get, we do raise the issue around that. But I'm now talking to you as an activist, far away from Eswatini. You do a memorial because a comrade has been murdered, and you then get these, I would maybe so-called threats that then come your way. Does that deter you from doing your work?
Yeah, to be honest, when I heard about Thulani, I was really heartbroken. And I think I was the first one to share the information to comrades in Kenya. And for me, what came to my mind is because even before Thulani in Kenya as coalition, with our collective partners and members, we have been leading in co-creating justice for women human rights defenders that have been killed, and even around femicide in Kenya. So from a first-hand perspective is a work that we've been doing, and now seeing a comrade also being killed. Because when I was at risk, I had to go to exile in 2019, is because of also the murder of a comrade that was murdered, and then it became the narrative of criminalizing her around bodily autonomy and integrity. So from there, I know what it felt, even having to run away. But I can't say I understand the fact that what Thulani wife was going through, but having in mind the target, this is a comrade I met in a meeting. This is a comrade, not only just a comrade, but what he stands for is the same work I do in Kenya, where people see us as not good people. So what I did, I was like, Rachel, it's painful, it's sad, but what can you do? I was like, I have my phone, I have my networks. And some of the networks are the networks I made at the Baraza Media. So I was like, what can I do? I called a few comrades and another institution also called Defenders Coalition, and also Tabitha, who were with her in there. I told her, at least you, Tabitha, you know English, and you're a lawyer. And another lawyer called Zaina, who also works with Amnesty, I told her, you people, I'm giving you the legal mandate, help us drafting a statement. And then me, I coordinate the comrades and how we need to do. And then when you write a statement, bring it back to us, we analyze it based on the activism language. So I was able to open a WhatsApp group, made different comrades admin, and I told them we are here for this specific reason. And one of the role was that, and I'm really thankful to comrades because we made it collectively as a Pan-African continental issues. We were able to write a statement also that was endorsed by the judges in Africa, some also in African Union, different CSO, social movement, feminist movement, and even labor movement. It was like a very holistic, intersectional, authentic solidarity that I'll say I've seen within my activism within the continent. And one of the things we say, this is statement, but we can do more than statement. What can we do? We need to do a protest. Like try to see where is the certain government, embassy, if it's here, or even go to MFA to push them because they have a mandate to represent us. When they go to Africa Union, they need to represent our issues. It was a lot of work. I'll not say it was easy to coordinate, because even before we protested, the government was against us protesting. And they were against us because they say they'll have issues with Eswatini government, but we pushed back. We told them we have a right also to protest. At the same time, because they were saying we go to Eswatini to do protests and not in Kenya. We told them activists have no boundary. The same, if something happens to me, the activists in South Africa will stand with me. So we were able to push. Also, media came through big time through also our friends in the media fraternity. And comrades came in large numbers. And we went to our MFA. We gave a memorandum. MFA was also very supportive to us. And they said they'll take it to African Union mechanism, to all the government of Eswatini into account. And I have a video, and if you want, I can share with you. And our PS for MFA, Coril, was able to say he's in solidarity with us, and he does not support the killing of Thulani and also human rights defender. And for me, at this moment, and even having the vigil, it was also a reminder that we are not safe. We are not safe where we see our comrade who has been persistent in pushing for the rights and freedom and democracy being killed. But at the same time, seeing the kind of solidarity that we fueled other countries to be able to support the cause in their different countries. People reach out to me that I didn't know also, who have been supported by Thulani, saying thank you so much for leading the way. But for me, it's not about Rachel. It was a collective action. Because if our comrades didn't choose to come, they didn't look who is organizing, but we were like, it's our collective action, would have not managed to push it and get attention. But later we got backlash, where the Prime Minister of Eswatini said us were terrorists, and I had terrorists paid by Amnesty. Yes, I'm in the board of Amnesty, but we were not paid by Amnesty. Us were just citizens who believe in activists who are standing in solidarity with their comrade. But at the same time, amplifying that this is the right time also government and the institution needs to invest on our protection as activists. Because we have seen is a trend. They kill a human rights defender, they kill a human rights lawyer who's also a human rights defender, and then they kill journalists. What does it mean? It means there's a shrinking civic space. But at the same time, you could see Justice for Tulani brought us in such a way of a Pan-African movement, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because when we said, we have done, people said we should not disband this group, let's have it. And this group has also very high-profile people in the African Union, in the, even like the former Kenyan Chief Justice, Dr. William Tunga, was also very supportive in this process. Yeah. And this was purely grassroots movement-led. Yeah. Not NGO-led. The NGOs, high-end NGO, because of collaboration, they came in as participants. Right. But this initiative was purely led by grassroots organizations. Yeah.
So the second thing at that meeting, when you introduced yourself, obviously most of us were very conservative. When we heard the movement, Pussy Power, we almost fell off our chairs. So can we talk about this movement and decode it? Because obviously you thought through the name. What is it in the name, Pussy Power, that led you guys to actually use it and adopt it as a tool in movement building?
That's amazing. And this is the question that I usually say. One, it's very poetic when you say pussy and then power. Having a younger constituency where 70% of also the African population are youth. And looking also in most of the struggles that work effective as a strategy, it's women-led movement. So I remember I had a friend that was studying at the Swedish school, and she was trying to do a project. And the way she was trying to do a project for her, she was like, Rachel, I'm thinking of this idea. What do you think? Should we say Pussy Riot or Pussy Power? And I remember telling her, for me, I love radical things. And the people in Mathare, because of how we have experienced oppression, like every day we are fighting, we are resisting for existence, especially as women. And coming from a background also, I was abused when I'm very young. Being in an abusive relationship, I know what it means when you're being targeted in your body. So I told them, yes, this is a good idea we can co-create, but I don't think, are you sure you want to work? Because us, we don't do things because it's a project. We do things because we believe in a cause and we are willing to push it. And I told them, movement building for us is long-term. And some of the results, you don't see it after 5 years. You can see it even after 20 years, after 10 years. So she was like, okay, let's try. Then I went and told my group, we have been having also before this discussion of coming with radical political work that focus on centering the grassroots feminism. Because there's this idea feminism is only for elitist women, elitist activists. But for us, we're like, the work we do already, it's feminism. So we're like, people come with different ideas. And there's part of it is Pussy Power. Others were coming with also like very fabulous word of girl power. We're like, we need to bring something that is crazy, that is... And then we agreed, let's do Pussy Power. So the first time we did the football tournament, we got backlash. But at least our local chief came in support. But I think because it was T-shirt, we were not saying, she didn't understand. But she was like, me, I like the way you people are energetic and everything. So we managed to do it, and then we posted the photo and we got backlash. But it reminded me in one of some of the work I've been involved in the movement. When you get resistance, it means you're doing something. We say now, let's take the risk and now build the movement. We have no funding, but the fact that we have T-shirts, we can buy T-shirts and print them. At the same time, because we believe in activism. Even if I'm not speaking, but when you read, you're like, okay, what is that? Or when you say pussy, you say power. So we say this is a very provocative language, but we need to unpack. Why Pussy Power? And one of the co-creation activities that women said, and what we agreed also with the women, is a lot of violence targeting women through our bodies. Our vagina, if it's gender-based violence, if it's women not having access to opportunities, usually because you're judged you're a woman. So we said, how do we make it political? When you say personal is political, you have to relate it with the issues the women are facing, with the issues the girls are facing, with the issue, even our community and what we are going through. Because for me and for us, what we believe feminism is not only just benefiting women, it benefits the whole society. So that's when we started building a momentum. It was hard, to be honest, even making it like a momentum, a slogan. But I would say through our collective efforts, we have made it now become bigger. That it has also Africans and Africans. And also one of my friends that passed during COVID, she was called Rachael, and may her soul rest in peace. She was also very instrumental. And when we talk about power, using also our own power in terms of solidarity to open up spaces for us to be able to push our agenda. And through this has managed, for us, we have managed to have 2 consecutive years of Pussy Power Festival in Kenya. The first one, we said also in terms of philanthropy, let's test the public if they can fund us and put the campaign. We have no money, but let's put the campaign online to raise money. And we were surprised. We got good support from the public. Where we raised money, our budget was $10,000. We were able to raise that $10,000 without restriction. And through friends where we were saying, if you're giving us this money, this is what we want, not what you people want. And I really agree what some of the panelists even in the conference were saying. When you put also your condition, people will come based on your condition, but also after the work, what you can deliver. And through this, we have been able to do it even last year. We don't just do a festival for the fact of festival. Also, we usually do it based on the issues that community are presenting, that these are the issues we want to discuss, and then mapping it. And that's why you would see, even currently, apart from just adults, also we have Pussy Power Kids who talk about gender equality. We have even feminist economic angles where we engage youth on how to have a skill share, getting people expert within the private sector to come and mentor them and help them on how they can be able to also have their social enterprise business. So I would say, I think it's growing bigger than us, but at the same time, we are so impressed of some of the innovation, they always say innovation, that we are testing from grassroots and seeing it. And that's why we love it also when you get into the room, when you say Pussy Power, people feel uncomfortable. And also I believe it's the beginning of some of these discussions to be able to happen.
It does create discomfort for most people for the first time. But the more I think people listen and hear, in fact, you are drawn to it. You want to know what is this about.
Exactly.
And I think from that perspective and also the politics of it, I think that's what is really important. So now, if we talk about the coalition for the grassroots human rights defenders, what are the things that you focus on, your programs? You are the founder. What is it that led you to setting it up? Maybe let's talk a bit about the work that you do, the origins of the coalition, who are the different members that are part of that coalition, etc.
So we formed a coalition in 2016. And 2016 is a time, I think, through my activism journey, it shifted a lot. It's the same time also I got threatened because of the work I was doing on access also to land rights in informal settlements. And then I was involved in a project in the community that was also co-working with youth. It was a project for youth that government was implementing in our community, and I was amongst the people who was pushing governments to have communities representation. So I was there, I was the key person of community that was representing. So when we were trying to negotiate how to get the public land to have youth-led projects installed, I got together with my colleagues threats from the, I don't want to call them landowners because they are not landowners, but they are land grabbers in informal settlements. And they threatened my life and the life of the people we're working with. And at that time, I was very young in activism, not knowing there's something that exists like protection. It was so intense, so that we had to go to the public radio and told government, if people are being threatened and beaten by land grabbers, and our life being in danger, the fact also we're young women, we'd rather we suspend this project because it's putting a lot of life of youth and the people empowering communities at risk. So when I tried to reach to get some help for civil society organization, I didn't get help. The assumption was that I'm a government project. And me, I was not a staff of the government. It was a community project that we tried to push government to involve us, And this also made us have a 360 turn up, like, then what do we do? But the thing that kept us going was the solidarity amongst ourselves. Like, we would cry. And now when you're threatened, also your leadership becomes, you're like, how can you operate? Because each constituency you would find as a youth leader, you are serving like 300 youth. And in Mathare, we have more than 22 villages. So you can imagine when these villages that were being tested to do this project, and which was on the side of the valley, which has like 3 wards, that's Mabatini, Hospital Ward, and Lango Kubwa, and has a huge number. In total, the youth who are involved in this project are more than 3,000 youth. So for us, we said, we need to find something that works for us, because still we are still activists. And that's why the system, even internally, the governments are fighting us, because we are pushing them to involve the youth.
Yeah.
We are pushing them also to involve us. And at the same time, I was lucky because one of my co-founder and a comrade called David Otieno had done a research. He had gotten a scholarship and did a research on youth and activism. And one of the recommendations that activists need their own coalition or need to form their own things. At the same time, I was like, being in feminist and activist spaces, we need our own thing. So that's when we start with members and people who are like have the same interests as us. We said, I think this is the right time we form our own coalition, because we realize we are alone. And when you're talking alone, not with an entity, nobody's listening to you. But at the same time, we don't believe in the politics. Someone has to be through an entity to be able to be supported. So that's when we formed the movement. We didn't have offices. We used to meet outside, like in our communities, and have like dialogue or barazas. And with time, we ended up now growing and gaining momentum. But the way we have also come to realize is that one of our key issues that we wanted to focus on was first, the human rights education. Because we said our community cannot move without having human rights education. We don't want them to call us, come and save us all the time. You're not Jesus. We want the community to have the agency and community member to support themselves. And that's why one of our biggest programs is on human rights education. The other program is on solidarity. And this one, solidarity will mean not only when you're at risk, but also when you are having success, like in good times, when also we have to be there for you. Because most of the time we realize solidarity is only needed in when there's a crisis. But I just want to have also solidarity when someone also is graduating, when someone has gotten a position somewhere in the community, or when things are doing well in their life. So we said this is also very important to also to be focused. The other part, we said that we needed to focus on collective laws on a feminist economy model. Why feminist economy model? The business of money has to go to mainstream hotel, we're like, no. Us want money to circulate amongst our communities. If we're having a meeting, if a community member has a skill that we can use it, instead of paying someone from outside, we need to pay them. Because most of us activists, the work we do, we are not paid like 8 to 5, like a career. And if we can be able to raise resources through our own networks, this money also has to build the communities that we are living. And through this feminist economy model, we're able to partner even during COVID with an organization called One Vibe Africa and Mother Roots, and we're able to give 46 women grants of $100 each during COVID. Women that are single in Mother informal settlements. And you could see some of these models are models that other people are adapting. And some of these models are model even as we're saying as activists, we need also to have our own sustainability model of having our own business, social business oriented, that we still use even until today. The other work that we focus on is intersectionality organizing. This means there's no single human rights issues. Social justice is particular social justice. Whether you're Ugandan, you're Kenyan, and you are a human being, we have to take you as a human being. And some of this work is also that has led us also to focus more on Pan-African organizing. Because also in Mathare, we have a lot of, I don't like using this word people say within the UN, undocumented refugee. But we have our brothers and sisters from different countries. And you find most of the cases when they're abused, it's hard for them to get justice because they don't have documents. And that's where we come in also as comrades of saying that we can't allow violence to be able to be experienced by anybody. But at the same time, why intersectionality? Because our politics depends on each other as community. I can't say because I'm dealing on water, so I should not deal on land rights. I should not deal on access to, let's say, climate justice work. So it's bring us together on also unpacking. The other part is on activism. We believe in the arts. That's why Pussy Power t-shirts and building graffiti that also played a critical role during COVID, where we used to use graffiti. But at the same time, having concerts as a form of not seeing artists as entertainer, but artists as a vessel of knowledge, where we're able to learn from them, but also building talents of young people to see that activism also is part of social change. And the other focus we have is around sexual reproductive health and rights in general, with a focus of gender-based violence. So what I'm trying to say, like as a community, and I know we are growing as a movement, but also we are trying to focus on this idea people tell us of having strategic plans and everything. But for us, we are very clear that we can live the organic way. As we transition and evolve, we are also involving communities.
Right.
And most of our members are community members because we live in the same community that we work in.
Yeah.
So it's not like people, we take them from outside. And also we have a part where we have allies and supporters. People believe in our work, and those are majority like our individual givers to a support of the work we do. Yeah.
So is your, well, maybe not the movement, but maybe the coalition, is it replicated in other parts of the country?
Yes.
Yeah.
We are active in Machakos,
Okay.
where also we are planning to build a center there. We already got a piece of land as a matter of also sustainability. We are also in Kwale County, that is part of Mombasa. We are also active in Migori County. We are active also in Baringo County. But now with the way we are moving, we are rethinking of some of the members who have their own coalition and a coalition on how they can be, let's say, independent and strengthen their work. But at the same time, having a focus that we feel we need to put the work in one place and not being in so many places. But at the same time, having a ripple effect based on the politics that are evolving now in Kenya.
So, I mean, obviously, we are here because this is a gathering of practitioners and funders in the philanthropy space. What's the connection between your work and philanthropy at a local level or even globally? I'm asking because I'm assuming there has to be a role that philanthropy ought to be playing. But it doesn't sound like big philanthropy is actually involved in what you are doing.
Yes. So for me, like the role I can say first, and the politics, even what I've learned within our own organizing, even as we are philanthropic in nature, the fact also we're able to give our time for free to do the community work that we're doing, the fact we are able even to give our resources, our time, even using our own homes to do organizing, using our own spaces, using our own time that people will say is time for maybe doing something else and doing the work. And what I feel, for example, the big philanthropic role they have is to resource grassroots organization of the stories of the women that you are reading their stories. Why am I saying this? And I like some of the conversation when I was listening. It's also like makes me think back some of the words I've been pushing within this space of funders and philanthropy that stop shifting our community do work. Community, us ourselves, we know what works for us. Stop imposing the things that don't work for us. If you tell us we have no policy, we have no, what do you call, structure. We have our own existing structure. That's why we are where we are. And I feel it's the right time philanthropy have a dialogue with grassroots movements. They need to listen. Like the meeting, I really liked the meeting we had with Trust Africa in Joburg. It motivated me because I felt there are people who see the work, there are people who understand, who feel the work we do. Because in most of the spaces, you usually find you're the only one who's not conforming. Most funders want to fund NGO program based. They don't want to give movement work resource. Because movement work resource, from my own lived experience, is a long game. It's an investment, you'll see it later. And I feel as philanthropic way of funding, it has to shift or change. It has to be localized. Let them come directly to the community. And that's why you heard the Akumba saying, when she was in Kenya, I told her, being a sister and being a comrade, come here, meet your people. Come and listen to them. Have a dialogue. And you find the output or the results of that meeting was powerful because now they say, now we understand from your lens, but also you need to understand from your lens. We don't want you to come and write here. But at the same time, you could see there's the relationship that has been built where also they don't need Rachael as a broker to make them rich through a philanthropic. And that's why I usually insist when a comrade visits, come to Mathare, we organize other comrades who are running different initiatives, listen and see on how you can collaborate together. Because I feel most funders, the mistake they make, they want you to come where they are. And when you come sometimes where they are, and this is based on the other hats I wear, you tend to, they want you to conform to their standard and not what is representing your community. And that's why I feel this kind of space is very powerful, but it needs to go to the grassroots. Because why are governments becoming more authoritarian and more powerful as much as the problematic? It's because they've realized the power is in the people and we the people. And that's why you'll see even with our current regime that also I'm not happy with, went to say we are here for the hustlers. The hustlers are us. But if NGO wants to be based on boardrooms, I'm sad to say it's hard to move. Things have to be done from a community lens, from a community perspective and activist lens and women-led processes.
So finally, I probably have to say this and ask, so listening to you, I'm forced to probably rephrase this and say, activists are not born, but they are made. What made you?
Interesting. I think many people are activists.
Yeah.
But the way the status quo has made people to be silent and normalize violence is when people, when they see bad things, they feel sad of speaking or they feel uncomfortable speaking. That's why for me, I'll not go with the word made, but you are fuel when you find a strong tribe of people who support you. Because to be honest, with my 2019 experience, if I didn't have a strong support system, I was like
giving up.
Because of what you go through. There's so much expectation to you as an activist. You find, like, a good example, I usually say, my community or my landlord will see me on TV fighting for people. Maybe I've not paid them rent because I don't have money. And then they tell me, why are you fighting for those people and you have not paid rent? And this is the lived reality of many activists. You like, now my family sees me, oh, you're in Zanzibar, or you have traveled. They expect you'll come with dollars. You'll come with moolah, because the way development work has been seen. And that's why the politics around decolonization, for me, it makes more sense than localization. It's seen from a point of development work is about money. Like you need to be living in big cars, but not seen from a point it has to be a community-led. So yes, we can say, I don't say it's a gray area. There are those who become activists at a later age because of being touched, like the way you tell me, Peggy was saying, that after Kumi spoke, she felt... Sometimes you have to inspire others. And that's why I like the model of using, if the continent needs to move, you need to use its young people to influence other young people to become activists, but also learning our history. Because I feel even me having that intergenerational learning with people like you, and there are Kumba, even Jessica, and Mildred Ngesa in Kenya, even Dr. William Tunga, even Tabitha, it gives you a room even to learn more. Because where we live most of the time, even having that information is a problem.
Rachael, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this conversation. I know we are pressed for time. Hopefully, at some other point in time, we'll catch up with you and just find out how much work you have done. I mean, we will still have to explore what are the next frontiers for the coalition, etc., etc. But I really want to thank you for taking the time to speaking to us and to our audience.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Maybe next one we can also during Pussy Power Festival.
We can actually come and film it. I mean, that would be great for us as well. Thank you so much. That was Rachael from the Coalition for Grassroots Human Rights Defenders joining us here at the margins of the East Africa Philanthropy Network Conference in Zanzibar. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the CAPSI podcast series, Conversations on African Philanthropy.